Hello. I want to introduce you to some commonly confused words. This is the third time we've done this. These are different words than we've done in the past, and there are fewer words this time around that I want to review with you. These are all pairs of words, to be honest, that are commonly messed up, commonly confused for each other. They're like twins, but they're not quite identical twins, and people often misuse these words interchangeably because they're not identical. They are not the same. Sometimes, like in apart and apart, they are opposite. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through a quick lesson and some practice questions for each of these. Some of you will need the lesson and the practice for all of these. Some of you are just going to scrub ahead to the part that you need, okay? But let's get started with roll versus roll. Okay, so here's the lesson. A roll with two L's means to move by turning over, or it's a piece of bread. A role with an E on the end means a job or a purpose, like the thing that you do. Some examples for role. Greg, will you pass the rolls? Like there's an L on the end. I want bread. I can still tell what role Danny will play in our cheerleading squad. I still can't tell what role Danny will play in our cheerleading squad. That role with an E on the end means like job or purpose. Okay, so let's get out of there and let's do some practice. We'll do like 3 questions of each of these. Cool. I need to roll the dough. Okay, so L on the end, and we're talking about bread, right? Sweet. Good job, Mr. Spina. I was cast for the role of Carl Spina's little sister in the Town musical. That person doesn't actually exist. I don't have a little sister. But this here would be the role that ends with an E, because we're not talking about bread. We're not talking about turning something else over. We're talking about like a position. Cool, look, I did level 1. Larry Wilmore is tired of playing the romantic role in every musical. This is talking about turning things over or bread, which isn't the case. We're talking about a part or a position. So we want the role that ends in an E. Great, so far so good. I'm going to exit the preview and I'm going to move on to the next pairing. Sorry, this is a little bit goofy. You don't usually see this, but here we are. Than versus then. So we'll take a look at the lesson really quickly. Than is for comparison. So for comparing 2 or more things, usually just 2. And then is for indicating time. So than, once Pat memorized his speech and he was more prepared than any of his friends. So if you're comparing Pat to his group of friends, we would use than with an A. Then shows order. Once Pat understood the general idea, then he could apply it to a specific situation. So first, then, right? Let's exit that and do the practice. Than is comparison, then is order. The words then and then may sound the same. No, I don't want to skip the tutorial. That's just a luxury for the teachers. Is smaller than his sister. So we're comparing the size of rooms. So I want than. Yes. As long as Trevor Noah has the choice, he will pick cookie dough rather than mint chip. This one's a little bit difficult. Are we comparing 2 things? I don't know. We're definitely not talking about order, right? So it's got to be than. It's a comparison. He's comparing his priorities in ice cream. Let's do one more. Andy Bernard stretched his hamstrings, then went for his morning jog. Oh, so we're talking about order because he stretched and then went for a run. So that answer is correct. Great, I think you got it right. So I'm going to exit the preview of then versus than. I'm going to go back through this little circle of assignments. You don't ever see this stuff because this is all teacher login stuff. Let's go with fewer versus less, which might be one of the more complicated ones that we talk about today. Let's go to the lesson. Fewer refers to separate countable units like marble. So if I'm talking about the number of something that you could actually count, we would use the word fewer. So like he has fewer cars than Joe, or I don't know, he has fewer pencils than Michael, right? So we're talking about things that we could easily count. Less refers to an amount that you can't really count, like water. You can measure it, but you can't count it, right? So there's less water in this cup than that one, or what would be another one? Oh, time. I have less time left in today than I did do for tomorrow. I don't know if that was a great sentence, but it works. If we talk about minutes, something you can talk about, you can count, you would say fewer. But if you're talking about time in general, it would be less. See how it can be a little bit tricky? Let's try some examples. Practice. Since using a different route, Creed has experienced fewer traffic on his morning commute. You can't really count traffic, you just measure it. So I'm going to use less. Submit answer. Yes. Now I could count cars in traffic, but I can't count traffic. I measure traffic. If there were less distractions in the library, Tina Fey would study there more often. Now, you can count distractions. So we're going to say fewer distractions. Good job, Mr. Spina. We'll do one more. After reading the nutritional information, Jason Jones decided to eat less Twinkies. Well, the filling inside, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the filling inside you would measure in terms of volume, but Twinkies you can count. So you would say fewer Twinkies, right? Yes. All right, so I'm going to exit this preview. I'm going to go on this little cycle. There we go. Allowed versus allowed. This will be really quick. We're not going to even do practice. Allowed means out loud, A-L-O-U-D, and allowed means permissible, like you are given the right to do something, you are given the opportunity to do something. Here's an example. Allowed meaning out loud, read aloud. Allowed as in given permission. Carolyn is only allowed to go to the park on weekends. All right, so far so good. This one, is a personal pet peeve of mine. Apart versus apart. They sound alike, but they mean opposite, nearly opposite things. A part in two words means you are a single piece of something, that you belong to a larger whole. Like, I am a part of Saline Middle School's teaching staff. I belong to it, right? Apart as one word means separated from or not part of. So like right now, you and I are apart, meaning not together, right? So you can see how these words mean almost opposites, right? It's not helped by the fact that apart, meaning separated from, is one word, right? It's like opposite. A part, two words, meaning a single thing. Apart, one word, meaning separated from. It's a bit ironic, isn't it? It's the opposite of what you would expect. We'll do some practice here because this one's a little bit tricky. Why did my card castle fall apart if Tom Petty's didn't? Apart, as in separate. Yes. To earn a part in the town musical, to earn a piece, so we would separate. Good job, Mr. Spina. A part of the museum is reserved for Jason Jones's clay sculptures. So a piece of the museum is reserved for his sculpture. So a part, two words, is what we want. We'll do one more because this is the hardest one we're doing. Apart from Trevor Noah, I am the best soccer player in town. So separate from, outside of Trevor Noah, I'm the best soccer player in town. Cool? I think you got it. So your job today, I guess this week really, is to complete commonly confused words number 3. There are 5 topics you need to do, and you're going to do great. And for the rest of your life, you're going to get a part and a part right because it matters to me and a lot of other people. Hey, good luck and stay safe, kiddos.